Hey guys, it's Vintage Vinny, and today I thought I would take you on a tour of my vintage shelf. I'm going to share everything that I have on it, what I paid, and why I love it so much. Stay tuned. Alright, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and check out what is on this vintage shelf. Now, the shelf itself is not old. I picked that up when I was working at Home Goods 2.5, 3 years ago, with intentions of putting it in this room, and it works out real nicely because I can just display things and not have it look cluttered like my other room at my grandmother's house was. That was really bad. I haven't done nearly as much damage to the walls here as I have at my grandmother's house. Anyway, so let's go ahead and check it out. I'll show you everything per shelf, what I paid if I can remember, and why I decided to display it. So we'll start up here. I have a 1960 Cinderella figurine that I got for 50 cents, complemented by my really awesome and probably my favorite salt and pepper shaker that I own. The 40s, 50s pinup girl riding an alligator. That I think came from a flea market for $5. It's actually a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Desirable salt and pepper shaker set. So if you ever see that and it's in great shape, pick it up. Also on this top shelf is a 1930s bisque Little Orphan Annie and her dog Sandy toothbrush holder that I found at a thrift store here in town for $1. Funny enough, if you remember the video that I featured this in, I visited an antique shop out in Pennsylvania and someone had this exact same one and they wanted $85 for it. To run with the nautical theme of my room, I found these two vintage Wade Mermaid figures. If you all don't know what Wade figures are, they came in boxes of tea in England, and I think when the US imported them, we acquired a ton of them. I contemplated buying these on eBay, but I didn't want to pay the shipping fee for them. So what I did is I was scouring a local, well, not local, it's about a 35-minute drive from my house, antique mall, and a vendor had a bunch of these, and when I saw the mermaids, I had to have them because they are just too stinking cool and they fit really well into the shelving unit. If we move down here, if you've seen me on Instagram or if you follow me there, you would have seen a picture of these. I love vintage Halloween. I love pretty much vintage seasonal stuff. I love it. I don't know where it came from. I know the vintage Halloween started when I visited an estate sale years ago, and I found a bunch of the old die cuts from the 50s. That's what kind of started me collecting all the Halloween stuff. And then after I started working, a few years later, we went to an estate sale that I found online. It had a bunch of really good stuff. They had a whole bunch of holiday decor, and some of that stuff I shouldn't have even bought, but I did anyway. This particular estate sale had some pretty unusual things, and the one thing that I am still kicking myself for not buying is a she-devil, and it had like a little fur, what do you call it? It's like a scarf, and I can't think of the name of it right now. I'm sure after I record, it's gonna pop in my head. But anyway, they're really hard to find. I've been wanting one for the longest time. It's called a she-devil. I think it was made by Sunsco or Enesco. I know they did salt and pepper shakers and a bunch of other things. I just want the one figure, and even though it was broken, I should have just freaking bought it because I haven't seen one since. Anyway, these are all Rosebro or Rosen Brothers candy containers. Most of these, the cat came from an estate sale. The witch was given to me for free from a guy who had a bunch of really good things at a flea market. As you can see, she does have a melt mark. I'll zoom in on that so you can see it. Melt mark, and she's broken, but that just adds to the charm of her. And behind them, because they are a little bit bigger, are my two jack-o'-lantern Scarecrow that I found at a thrift store in West Virginia. I paid 99 cents for both of them, so 50 cents a piece. If you're wondering about the value of the two jack-o'-lanterns, because they are in really good condition, at Halloween time I would see, or probably have no problem getting upwards of 55 to maybe even 60 bucks. That's on a good day, of course. Now, this guy in between the two Scarecrows is a Halloween snowman. I don't know how I discovered him or what made me really want one, but I remember back in probably 2013 or 2014, I came across one at an antique shop and I really liked it but didn't want to pay the person's price. So I went ahead and looked online, and that's a good tip for you all, not to jump way out of topic here, but if you see something that you like in an antique shop, take a picture of it so that way you can remember what it is, how much the person was asking, and see if you can find that item on eBay or even any other site like Etsy, and maybe you can get it much cheaper. That's happened to me plenty of times. I've seen something that I really, really liked, didn't want to pay what the person was asking, looked it up online, found it way cheaper even with shipping, and I bought it for myself. And that's exactly what I did with this Halloween snowman. For whatever reason, I was just looking up the candy containers, and I didn't really want to spend $20 even on eBay, or even more, because it was an auction. Apparently, the person did not use a lot of descriptive detail on the item itself, so I got them for a really good price. I only paid $5 for it, and it is missing the pipe, but that doesn't bother me too much because it's not like I'm going to resell it. This is for my own personal collection, hence why it's on the shelf here. So that's all of the candy containers. If we move over here, this was another really good score, and if you follow me on Instagram, again, you would have seen this really awesome Pixieware Jam and Jelly jar made by Holt Howard in 1958. Picked this up at one of my town thrift stores for 75 cents. The spoon itself is still intact, nothing's wrong with it. This one is the least expensive of the Pixieware that's out there. If I were to resell it, I probably would be able to get about $50 to $55, which is what I would ask. But it's not like the maraschino cherries or the olives or mustard and ketchup. Those ones do tend to sell better. But nonetheless, to get one of these for 75 cents, my heart was beating. And my heart was palpitating when I saw it. And I hadn't even seen it. This was the second time that I went around the store when I found it. It wasn't something that just that caught my eye as soon as I saw it. But I got it for 75 cents, if you can believe that. If you didn't see the Instagram post, that's what I paid, 75 cents, which is an amazing price. It's the only one that I have. I may end up spending a little bit more on some of the other pieces, but if I can get them for a really good price, I'll pay them. I'll pay the buyer for that. Okay, I know there's something weird about guys and dolls, but some of them are actually not as creepy as some may make out. So I had to have my Barbie and Ken out because they are dressed in their original swim attire. I love them for that because they're all original. Barbie I did have to buy in pieces because I didn't want to spend over $200 on just a doll, which is absolutely insane. So the most expensive piece of her that I bought was the head, and I think I paid $31 for it. The rest, I think, after everything was all said and done, buying her original cat eye glasses and buying the original shoes, I think I wound up spending maybe $60 or $70, which is a lot. And if I had to resell her for whatever reason, I would definitely ask upwards of $100 because I paid a lot to get the bathing suit, the cat eye glasses, the head, the body, the shoes. Now, Ken is a bit of a different story. I think I bought him at a flea market for $3. And I went on eBay and bought the original towel, his original swim trunks, the original beach coat, cover-up, whatever you want to call that. And I also have his original shoes. Spent $3 on him, and I think the outfit cost me about $10. So $13 invested in Ken is pretty good because they don't sell for a whole lot of money unless they are in really good condition and they have the original box. Moving along here, we have my vintage 1960s ideal Tammy doll that I also picked up at a thrift store in town for $3.50. I originally passed on her when I looked at her, and then I decided to go ahead and just look her up to see what she was going for. And I went ahead and picked her up after I looked it up and said, yeah, I'll take her. Now, I bought her original shoes, her original jumpsuit. I think I spent a grand total of $11.50 on her. And if I were to sell her, probably would ask anywhere from, I don't even know, $50 to $60 because her hair is in really good condition, her body is in very good condition, the vinyl's not all worn out, and it's still in very good displayable shape. And funny enough, when I emailed the sellers of the jumpsuit and the shoes what my Tammy doll looked like after buying the accessories from them, they actually complimented me and said that this was a very good example of a Tammy doll because the hair is in really good shape. She has the original bow. And just said that it was a really nice example. And I mean, to hear that from somebody who probably either collects dolls or has seen a lot of these dolls in really good shape, that's a very good sign that you got a really good deal on something. Now, this doll, if you don't know, is representing Debbie Reynolds, who played Tammy in the 1957 film Tammy and the Bachelor. Sandra Dee did take over the two roles, I think, in the sequels to Tammy and the Bachelor in the early to mid-60s. Now, the last doll I'd like to share with you all, yes, does kind of have a bit of a pair of creepy eyes, but the reason that I picked her up at one of my thrift stores for $5 was due to the fact that I liked the way that she was dressed. She definitely screams 1950s, with the, I don't even know what kind of hat you would call that, but just the shape of the dress that she's wearing and the cut of the fabric just really screams 50s, and I love that. So I had to have her. And I've seen multiple kinds of these dolls. I think these were very common back in the day, like at dime stores and places like that. So I've seen a lot of these hard plastic dolls in different outfits, but I don't need more than just this. I just like the way she looks. Now, this was a really good score here. I picked this up at a flea market. I think this had a make an offer price tag on it, and I said, will you take $2? And the person took it. It's an Esso handy oil bottle with the Esso man, I guess, saluting. Now, upon doing closer inspections of this, I believe this is from 1956. I can't remember exactly where the date is on here, but it's there. I promise you, it's there. And I looked it up, and one of them, around the time that I had bought this, sold for upwards of about $40. But I love it because it's not something you come across every day, despite this being a promotional giveaway. So I went ahead and kept it. Now, next to my Esso man is probably one of my most favorite pieces of Christmas decor that I own. And this is a 1950s full-bodied Pez Santa dispenser. Pez Santa dispenser, if I said that. I actually saw this at this one antique mall, which is unfortunately now closed. And it was $50, which is about what they go for online. So even if I hadn't really wanted to buy it for resale, or if I was going to buy it for resale, or if I was going to buy it for myself, it was still a good deal because, I didn't have to pay shipping or anything. However, this person at this mall at the time was offering 25% off of all of his items. He was included in that, so I only spent $37.50. And I don't know if I've told any of you all this, or maybe it's just been a while, but my dad was a Pez collector for many years. He started in the 90s when it really became a thing. And then as my brother and I came into the world and, you know, the Pez thing kind of died down, he stopped. He sold a lot of his collection and moved on to greater things. But he had never come across one at an antique shop, or if he went to different shows, he would see them and people would want like upwards of $100 at the time. But, you know, I saw him and I knew I had to have him. And plus, I bought some other things that day and it's paid right off. So, I mean, I bought it knowing it was going to be a little pricey, but because I had bought other things that were going to make money and pay off what I was purchasing and keeping, I felt that paying the $37 was well worth it. I got this the same day that I picked up that tin jack-o'-lantern for $8, the one that a lot of people desire to have in their vintage Halloween collections, but sometimes they charge too much for them. It was a really good deal, and as soon as I saw it in there, I was like, does that say 8 or 80? And then when the guy said, oh, it's $8, I was like, okay, I'm taking it. Moving on here, this was just something to add to the beachiness of this room. It's just an old aquarium piece. It's got Japan on the bottom of it. I got this at one of my local antique shops for about $1.25. Now this cute little thing right here I got at the Goodwill outlet in my town. I think he originally was supposed to hang off of a goldfish tank or like a plant of some sort. But he's got little rivets in his paws, so that makes him stay stable on my shelf. So I thought I'd add him to it. Moving along to the last part of the shelf is this. I picked this up for I think $0.25 at one of my thrift stores. It's just a vintage Seahorse magnet. I just put him there to kind of add to the beachiness of the room. And the last two things that I'd like to share with you all are possibly the only pieces I will ever own that look like this in terms of what they are. These are vintage head bases made in probably the mid to late 40s, maybe possibly into the 50s. This one I got at a flea market a while ago for $5. This one right here, if you guys watch Garland Girl 21, she actually has one also. And she said this one looks like Betty Grable. I agree 100%. And I love these. They're not too feminine. They're not too girly. They're kind of just plain, and then they've got, you know, some feminine features to them, like with the eyebrows and the lipstick and things like that. This one, I don't know if I told you, I did get at an antique shop, and I paid about $7, which is a very good price. That's only $2 more than what I spent for this one. This one looks like Lauren Bacall, if you ask me. I mean, whether you and I agree on that or not is another story, but that's who I think they look like. And I love them. And I don't think I'll ever get the ones that are like made by Enesco or Napco or anything like that, unless they were not too feminine looking. More than likely, I would end up reselling those if I could get them for a decent price, because I don't want a bunch of that kind of stuff. Because that doesn't really represent me. I just like the pinup look of these, and that's why I purchased them, because I think they look great, and they definitely give off a very vintage look. So yeah, that is my vintage shelf. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and also look forward to some more content that I will be providing. So that's all I have for you today. Be sure and give this video a big thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to know when new videos are posted. All the links to my social media accounts via Instagram are down below as well, where you will see pictures of items to come in future haul videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye guys!